All right. What's up, reef builders? I am live from the beach. There's a reef right there. The signal, god awful. Starlink satellites. I've got one Wi Fi bar. There's wind. This is a very rudimentary setup working with right here. So, yeah, we're going to go live like 2 hours. I figured I would go live because I did not go live last week. Yeah, what a background. I haven't got to go out there in the water yet and actually go see the coral. It's been super choppy and windy, like a little tropical storm kind of south from here. So yeah, but yeah, figured I'd go live for a little bit here. It's not going to be the full hour. There's already a ton of mosquitoes. Have to like suit up here. What's up? Cool, you're watching from Brazil. But yeah, I figured. Yeah, last week we got super busy. I went to Colorado, went to Denver, so I didn't go live. I decided to take a little bit of break, have some fun out there with person, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Remy and I got a ton of content done. We rescaped something at the studio, which we've not done before. Made an acro heavy tank with some ganies and such. Yeah, this is not green screen; it's real. I'm here. I'm in Cat Island of the Bahamas. Yeah, so that's the funny thing, Nick, is it's crazy. Starlink internet, one bar on the least populated island in the Bahamas. They don't even have paved roads here. And it's better than my internet back in Topeka, Kansas. Everyone needs to tag Raj. We need to get me some better internet. There is no excuse that on a literal beach in a different country with Elon Musk's service at 1% strength that is better than something in a first world country in a metropolitan area. And I pay for the decent internet too, not even the crappy version of the plan. Yeah, that was the first thing is when Remy and I tested it, we were like, oh, more stable connection than back at home. So that's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, we got a lot of cool content done in Colorado last week. We didn't go live. I took a little bit of break, had some fun out there. We got a ton of like we saw John Goff's tank. It's like the most impressive system I've ever seen. It's like 10 by 8. He has like an NPS system that was very cool. We went to Hydrospace out there. We got some videos done at the studio. So stay tuned for all of that. Yeah, I need like gigabit internet. There's Google Fiber in Kansas City, but Topeka, Kansas has absolutely nothing. Just a bastardized version of it. But yeah, for the next week and a half, I'm in the Bahamas here. So I've got a lot of reels I've been producing. There's like Mexican turbo snails, neorite snails, the European, or not European, Caribbean rock urchins that are all just in their natural habitat. There's a ton of huge chitons, like that big, like almost looks like a little abalone or something. It's super cool. There's macroalgae from the hobby. Hey, what's up, Chris? That's all down there. There's like turf algae. It's like all like an intertidal zones. There's actual tide pools, kind of like the Pacific Northwest, but it's tropical. And yeah, we're on the south side of the island, so I think most of the rocky kind of area is down here. It's like you could see fractionation occurring. Like there's micro bubbles and stuff everywhere. It's like the skimmer of the reefs is right behind me, pretty much. There's also like about a mile this way. There's mangrove flats. So yeah. Oh, there we go. There's Tyler. Yep. Bahamas are awesome. I'm gonna need to send you some pictures, Tyler. I think there's a couple different species of mangroves out here that I have no idea what they are. There's one that's flowering that looks really beautiful. That doesn't really get tall. It more so is like a very broad thing. There was like some aerial roots coming down earlier. I went live on Instagram that just come straight down at an angle. Super weird growth patterns that I've never seen before. But yeah, the whole mangrove flats were like a nursery. There was baby barracudas that were maybe like 2 feet long. They were stalking baby snappers. And there was like tuna kits and sponges just everywhere, all over the roots. Really cool environment. And then it's like each little puddle like in the tide pool is its own ecosystem, so getting like a lot of inspiration out here. I'm thinking about some new filtration you know methods and stuff like that we could maybe deploy in the hobby. I'll talk about much later. Maybe I'll plumb some stuff in and test it. Yeah, it's awesome. I can go kayak that whole little creek. It's like a brackish area, so it'll get washed in with a high tide and then pulled out with the low tide. It definitely looks like acts as a nursery for all the fish. Hopefully tomorrow it's supposed to be calmer, so I'm gonna go snorkel out there and free dive down to see the reefs here. there's different reef environments around the islands. There's one area with like a lot of acropora, I think cervicornis, the elkhorn, so probably cervicornis. There's like a lot of sponges and gorgonians that are supposed to be on the south side. There's kind of some like brain-looking corals. I believe Sean Ono said they were sidastria. So yeah, that's like I've only seen two corals in tide pools, and of those two, one already had tissue recession. So that was a really depressing reality. I've seen two of these Sidastria, two colonies, two different tide pools, and one was already like diseased and dying. It's like, oh yeah, that's pretty sad. There's also like, it's not the island's fault, but I mean there's just plastic waste everywhere. Like even like this is like the least populated island and there's plastic waste. Like I picked up like trash on the beach like all day. It's just so sad to see that in like a really sparsely populated part of the world that there's still just such a human impact on the environment. There's like beer cans in the mangrove flats and stuff. It's like Jesus. So yeah, there's kind of like a sad, sombering element to it, but it's also beautiful, super cool. I mean, there's a lot of these plants that I wish that we could have in the hobby that are like intertidal, that are almost like succulents. I've been using like a plant ID app and kind of taking category of all of them. You can see if Julian Sprung can get a hold of some. Yeah, I wish we could get elkhorns in here too. But yeah, so that's kind of the Bahamas. I've only been here a day. I'm gonna keep all of you updated for sure. I've been categorized, like capturing all of it, taking pictures and videos of like everything. There was a baby blue tail or like yellowtail damsel I saw that was like this big. It was hanging out in one of the tide pools. That was really cool to see as well. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Hopefully we can go live next week. Like the whole deck here is just like decorated with different coral skeletons. It was like that when we got here. I mean, these are just like huge colonies compared to what we would see like in the hobby, but like actually walking out like on the intertidal zone, it's just all old colonies that got eroded away. There's like 10 feet across of some type of brain coral looking thing. Excuse me, that was disgusting. God, brain coral looking thing. I don't even know what species it is. There's like I found a little Porites skeleton today, so yeah, pretty cool. I'm really excited to see it. I don't have a waterproof case, but I've got Ziploc bags. So I think I'm going to kind of MacGyver a little way to record everything underwater out there. I'll try to figure it out and see if I can get some underwater footage of things. But yeah, been a lot of microbiome talk on Instagram and everything going wild. I just kind of got caught up with all of it. And I thought I would share something pretty cool. So while I am new to using aquabiomics in my system, I have used it extensively for research. So I just sent in a system, like an actual, reading of my sinks right before I left. So it's in batch 37 or 38, I believe. I don't even remember what batches they're on, but I'll have it back soon. So I'll be able to talk about my own system, but I have used the service extensively. But yeah, here's kind of some stuff I've helped with. So this is Chris Cap's tank. This was a couple of months ago. This was right after Reef stock. He had issues with brown jelly, tons of stuff like that. He sent me his results, and it is literally like the worst microbiome I've ever seen. There's literally only like 5 families. So yeah, this was a terrible microbiome. He was having no coral or fish pathogens, but just completely unbalanced, no diversity, none of the good families, mostly occupied by this sulfur reducing bacteria. But yeah, I gave him some recommendations and to how he could fix his microbiome, and here it is now. This is after what he did to change things, and you can see it's one of the healthier microbiomes I've actually seen. Excessive families, Pelagibacter acaceae, which is what you want. That's the picoplankton that makes up things. So some of the most successful tanks that I've seen microbiome reports from have a huge pink band. So having this family acts as constant nutrition for the coral. It also will outcompete many coral pathogens, and it metabolizes DMSP, which prevents pathogenesis from occurring. So he went from 5 families, he used my recommendations, and now he's here. Completely healthy microbiome. So, in terms of, he has a fish pathogen out of nowhere, but that's not going to affect the coral. But in terms of putting money where my mouth is, I'd say that I maybe helped him out quite a bit. So, yeah. he sent me his ICP as well. He has like a little bit of issues with coral disease still, but he's bottomed out on quite a few of these major and minor trace elements. So yeah, the recommendations were simple. I said, turn off your ozone, turn off your UV sterilizer. He had a different microbiome report from an existing system, and it already had a decent microbiome. So I said, seed that microbiome, like add some rubble from that tank to this one. And then, we talked about maybe getting his nutrients up because he had low nutrients. So he started adding amino acids, which I'm not completely behind, but it worked in a way to get his nutrients up. And that's all he did. He sent me a list of everything he did. He didn't add any new coral or fish during that time. He increased feedings. He added PNS ProBio from Hydrospace once a week. He added the rubble. He added amino acids as fuel for all of it. And then he turned off his UV and ozone. And look, perfect microbiome. I've been preaching against UV for a while now, and this is kind of some direct evidence of that. Obviously, if there's fish pathogens and things, that's a place to use it, but it definitely allowed him to get this pink band brought back up. And it shows that with just a few minor changes, you can go from the worst microbiome ever to one of the best that I've seen. So, yeah, I don't use aquabiomics in my tanks, but I think I understand things to a decent amount to where I can help people and maybe speak on this. Not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but there you go. Yeah, I think your therapeutic UV is likely nuking things, Remy. I think you're going to have no pink. But we'll see what happens. We'll look at Remy's tank too. So we got the community science stuff battened down with aquabiomics. I had some calls with Eli and Andrew this week. So we will be starting that the first week of July. It is decided now. We are going to be testing sugar, vodka, and vinegar as our 3 different carbon sources. We will select, I believe, 3 candidates from each of those carbon sources. We're still teasing that out. So you will be contacted if you are going to be a part of that study. We got in like 50, 60 different people that applied to be a part of the study. So we're choosing the people that have exactly the tanks we're looking for. They can't be running UV. They have to have not ever added a carbon source to their tank before. We want diverse enough systems in terms of size and things to get a pretty broad and diverse baseline. So yeah, if you've chosen to take part of that community science project, we will contact you. We'll have Andrew and Eli on Reef Therapy to discuss that. And then we also will have a second community science project this year after the carbon dosing one. So stay tuned for that. We will hint a little bit about that as well. But we should know probably by the end of August kind of the results of the carbon dosing stuff. So that'll be great. It'll be a really good pilot study to hopefully generate some very good answers for the hobby to where we actually have data behind the questions that we're asking on how we can maybe make the microbiome a little bit more actionable to determine if dosing carbon sources is a good idea or it's something best left in the past. And no one's doing that. So hopefully we can lead the pack in the industry towards a more data-driven approach. That's what we're really hoping. And it's more of a partnership between us and Aquabiomics to work together to where we're the media platform, bringing in the people and getting the news out, and then they're using the technology. And together, we're designing the experiments. So, yeah. I think I'm probably going to get off because I'm already getting ate alive by mosquitoes. We wanted to go live early before I started getting obliterated. Just a little short one to update you that I'm still alive. I will do another short one next week to talk about my adventures here, to show the microbiome thing because there was all of that on Instagram, and I hate drama. I've been with my family, and I'm just getting pinged a million times a day. Like, please, God, don't bother me. Let me relax. I don't have beef. I don't have beef with anyone. Let it be. I care about the coral. But yeah, so I wanted to say my piece on that, show the microbiome stuff from Chris Cap, update you on what we did last week while I was gone, and talk about the Bahamas a little bit. When I get back from the Bahamas, we drove down to Fort Lauderdale and then took a plane out here. We're driving back up, and we will be in Orlando, and I'll be doing a Reef recap from ACI Aquaculture. So I'll probably do that on my phone, and I can show you guys a tour of the whole facility and talk. Chris and I will probably go for a couple hours. So to make up for going short these last few weeks, I'm going to go really, really long with Chris, and we're going to nerd out on a coral for like 5 hours straight. So stay tuned in 2 weeks for the ACI Aquaculture one. And then Remy will have to endure being online for like 6 hours into the wee early hours of the morning. So, but yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I thought I'd just go live really quick, update you. I'm still alive. I'll get some articles out this week. See you guys next week.